She's a tarot reader, an astrologer. Please give it up for Ashli.
I literally hit rock bottom. That was probably the darkest night of the soul that I have ever experienced in my life.
You re-encountered 11 people from your past that made you reflect upon your life from your past, leading all the way up to where you are now.
And so I was terrified to leave my apartment. And then I realized, oh, the universe is sending me a message.
Bars.
We're back. Season 4, episode 1. I'm so freaking excited. I can't believe we're here, Rob.
We made it.
We really did.
And we're back.
And we're back, and we're setting it off with, as per usual, a special guest, because all our guests are special.
That's right.
But this is actually a friend of mine that you met.
That's right.
She's a tarot reader, an astrologer. She does Reiki, sound healing. She's got an amazing business. Please give it up for Ashli.
Woo!
Hey. Welcome, Ashli. How you doing today?
Thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm doing fabulously. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm great. Just a little background though. So Ashli and I met at during the pandemic. We actually met, and it was during like an online psychic fair. And her and I met because we were like in the same room. You know, like before they send you to breakout rooms, like they put us all together. And I remember, and we've spoken about this, I remember how I was looking at her out of everybody in the room, and I was like, oh, if I get a reading, I'm going with her. And then we wind up in a room together, right? We picked each other.
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
I couldn't believe it because she was like, yeah, I looked at you and I was like, I want a reading from her. And it's just how energy works.
Right. I love that.
That's amazing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So
And look at us now.
look at us now. But I want to get into, we want to get into your journey. Because when I first met you, you were in acting. You were an actress.
Right.
On a TV show, on a BET show. And then I found it kind of fascinating that you were also starting your spiritual journey, like, you know, doing readings and stuff. How has that been for you, like, since then?
How has what exactly been for me? Just readings or acting or all of it?
How about like in terms of like, because, you know, as Sin mentioned, right, the journey of when you guys first met till now, right?
Right.
And at that time, like you were, from my understanding, you were dipping your toes in readings and
doing readings.
You were someone that was picking up. So from that moment, from that class to now, I think we're both curious to know how has that journey has been for you, like in the spiritual realm of things.
Yeah, since that fair, like since we
Got
first
it.
met.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it was a spiritual fair, not a class.
Yeah.
But so it's interesting because I started my conscious spiritual journey 2 years before the pandemic, so in 2018, and found my own daily practice ritual that really activated all of my gifts. And by me finding spirituality, it sort of opened up the door for me in all aspects of my life, including acting. So my first year, like just after working on myself consistently, the first 21 days, my whole outlook in life changed. My life changed. Like it was incredible. And then through that consistency, miracles would it's like I was a walking magnet for miracles. And so that really opened the door for me with my acting as well. And by the time I met Sin, this was during the pandemic, right? That's why the psychic fair was online. I had been reading for people, but I would say maybe it was like my first year in business officially, but it was just me. So I would give readings for people by word of mouth, or I don't know if I was reading in shops yet at that point. Eventually I started reading in shops. The very first shop that I read out of is no longer open, but it was this shop called the Crystal Matrix in Atwater Village in Los Angeles. And that actually, my experience there inspired me to open up a mobile boutique. So now I have the Star Magic School Bus, which is my mobile apothecary, where I offer readings and tarot and sound healing, and I sell esoteric goods. So it's been quite the journey.
Yeah.
Just in the last, I've been open for 3 years now.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you. And congratulations to you both as well, because I know you've been doing this for a while too.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I can't believe it's been 3 years since you opened the shop, because I remember you telling me your idea of the Star Magic School Bus.
I don't remember that.
Right there.
I remember that you told me about your idea and what you were thinking of doing. I think at that point you had already bought the bus, like you already had it, and you were getting into renovating it yourself, mind you. Might I add, yourself.
Yeah. So it took
crazy.
me a little over a year to build out. That was insane. It was a dream, because like it was a dream and a nightmare at the same time, because it was emotional and taxing, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like building that school bus was really a test of my faith, and the fact that I completed it and was able to make my vision come to fruition is really a testament to my faith as well. So I was inspired to do this, or to create the Star Magic School Bus, because I had a negative experience working at that shop. The shop owner ended up being racist, and in the middle of just an unpleasant experience, I heard you need your own space. And I didn't know if I wanted it to be mobile I knew I wanted it to be mobile. I knew I didn't want it to be a storefront, because if I were to do that, then it's really just a lot with making sure that you have, you're in a great neighborhood and it fits the budget and all of that. And so I knew I wanted it to be mobile, but I didn't know what kind of vehicle I was going to get. And then I had a vision of what it looked like and how it felt. And so I drew a sketch with that in mind. And within a week and a half of drawing that sketch, I found a yellow school bus in San Diego. Wow. And so I went down, got the bus, didn't know a thing about like construction or renovations or anything like that. But I had been obsessed with watching those videos on YouTube. And so I tried finding other people to do the work for me, but I couldn't. It was impossible. And eventually I was just like, okay, well, let me try it myself. Let me at least try. And so with every little project, because there's the floor, and then there's the fireplace and the benches and all of that. So with every bit by bit, I would have a panic attack. I would cry. I would tell myself, I can't do this. And then eventually I would go, well, let me just try. And then I would try. So it was really just trial and error the entire way through. And it took me a little over a year. And I'm so grateful. I don't think I'll ever do that again, but I'm so glad I did it.
I think I do remember that as well. Ashley telling me, like, every time I said, did you get help? Yeah, but it didn't work out. Or this person left and never came back. Or, I hired them and they don't show up. Like, she was just going through it. Going through it. And it's just amazing how things are. Because at that point, you do feel like you're being tested. Like, how badly do I want this?
Right. I also feel like rejection is just redirection. And so in that case, like the universe was saying, no, you will think that you're going to work with this person to build it for you. But really the universe is saying that you already have it in you to build it on your own. And like, even for you, like, I know you mentioned the emotional taxation on you, creating it for a whole year. But throughout that process, what would you think is something that like a big lesson that you learn from transforming this bus that you saw in San Diego to what is now your own home and business?
Well, I don't live in it. It's just my business.
Well, yeah, I don't mean home like as in like, but your
like
spiritual home.
Yeah.
Where
Spiritual home. Absolutely. Yeah. The lesson. Well, one, that for me, it's a personal lesson, but take this and apply it to the world, right? But I learned that I'm capable of anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if I could do that, I can do anything. So it's not a matter of like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of not just when, but like what exactly, like what is the vision? What's the next vision? What's my, you know what I mean? So if I can see it mentally in my mind, in my third eye, then I know I can do it. And I feel like it's mind over matter. It's not just mind over matter. It's really heart over matter as well, because this was an act of love, of devotion, of my devotion to spirit, to my spirituality, to my path. And so I feel like if I'm capable of that, then anyone is, right? And so it's just a matter of having that curiosity and that willingness to try. Because those are the words, just try. Those words were repeated to me the entire time, every step of the way. Just try, just try, just try. And it happened, you know, all you have to do is try.
You know, I feel that a lot of people would give up in those moments, especially when, it didn't work out with this person, this contractor fell through, and then you're trying to do it on your own. But I don't know how to, create the floor. I don't know how to create the fireplace in my bus. For you, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it almost feels like there was like a greater divine power that was also like giving you a little bit of extra energy, because I feel like a lot of people would quit in those moments.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people would quit.
Yeah, quite honestly. It's like, if it was handed to me, I'd just be like, what am I doing? Let me get a smoothie. I'm in San Diego.
It's not meant to be.
Yeah. A lot of people will say, well, that's not meant to be.
Right.
I might as well shift gears and do something else. But for you, it was different. You said, no, I'm going to see it through. What made you have that mindset of like, I have to see this through?
It's funny because I never felt this pressure. Like, I never felt pressure of like having to see it through. I just knew what I wanted, not just for myself, but like what I wanted for, I mean, to say the world is just so grand, right? I'm not servicing the world. I'm servicing my community. But I've always, that's been a vision of mine or a dream of mine, to always want to heal the world or make the world a better place, help people, ever since I was a child. That's the only reason I ever wanted to be an actress, because for some odd reason in my like 3-year-old brain, I associated being an actress with philanthropy. No idea why. But that was, and so a part of the catalyst to my spiritual awakening in 2018 was really a dark moment. And like, I felt like I had lost everything. And I was my agent had dropped me as well. And my manager, and I had just gotten this like the best manager at that point that I had ever had. And then she dropped me, and I felt like I'd lost everything. And I thought I'd lost myself. And I was like, well, what can I do now? The whole reason I've been working towards being an actress basically my whole life was because I wanted to be of service to the world. But if I don't have that, then what am I here for? And then I realized, like, I don't have to wait to be famous to be of service. I don't have to wait to be a name actress to make a positive change in the world. And so in that wasn't like okay, well, I'm going to do that, so I'm going to be a psychic. It wasn't that quick or easy, but I at least had this curiosity to explore other ways I could not even just share my gifts, but find them, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably the core of what drove me through, is because the vision wasn't just a mobile business. Like the vision for me was an expression or an extension of myself, or at least how I've always seen myself, or seen and when I say seen myself, I mean as basically just as a tool, as a tool to be of service, to make the world a better place. And I think that's probably what really pushed me through. And the astrology as well. I mean, like during that time, Saturn, I'm an Aquarius sun, and Saturn and Jupiter were both in Aquarius at the time. Like around the time that I was inspired to do this, I feel like it was happening right around the major, remember the great conjunction we were all talking about in 2021. So I feel like the astrology definitely, because Saturn applies pressure and requires or demands of you discipline and consistency.
Right.
So to have that happening in my I'm an Aquarius stellium, so to have that happening in Aquarius for me was basically like the universe pushing me through and really supporting me in applying the work.
You went through your Saturn return through all that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I feel like intuitively though, as I'm listening to you speak to, like, I feel that thing that you spoke about, like I always had the vision. Like to me, it's like if you're constantly seeing something in your mind's eye and you keep thinking about it, like it's like the universe is definitely gonna co-create with you in that. And also I feel like spirit is always gonna have your back on that too. So every time we feel like, because I felt it as well, I'm sure you have, I know Ashley has, like where we feel lost or like we're off track, and they do what they can to get us back on track, but we have to also get to that, into that position of receiving that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of us resist. Yeah. But I love the fact that even when you're speaking about building the bus, like I kept hearing like, just try. And to me, that was the support. They were like, no, you can do this. You got this. And you did it. And it's a huge accomplishment. So you should be like really proud of yourself that you followed that and went with your gut and your soul. Because, you know, our soul has all the answers if we just listen.
All right.
That's right.
I love that. I didn't even know that that was like your big turning point, was that your spiritual awakening came from all this such deep, dark place and from such a place of loss. Because I, as an actor too, I've been dropped by my agency as well. Similar situation, except like, you know, I didn't want to audition for a role that I thought was offensive and racist.
And that's okay.
And then I got dropped just like that. So it also took a lot of, and I almost quit from that moment. So, and then a year later, my manager left the whole industry, you know? So it's like a very similar thing to you, where it's like, yeah, all that moments like that, even though it may seem like it's a loss, it's really a gain, because you're gaining so much more insight into who you are as a person. And like, I wonder if those things didn't happen to you, whether the agency dropped you, would you have had the type of like spiritual awakening or insight now or even back then, had that not happened?
You know, that is a great question.
I'm like,
I don't know, man. Honestly, I have no idea. Probably, I want to say probably not. But then at the same time, a part of that whole 2018 spiritual awakening thing, so during the first Mercury retrograde of that year, I ran into 11 people from my past within a span of 2.5 weeks. And
oh my God.
What?
I never told you.
I don't think so. No. I'm here like, what?
Yeah. It was a whole ordeal. Like so financially I wasn't doing well. I started the year off on a high. I had gone to Sundance for the first time with this project that I was a lead in. And, you know, that's how I got the fancy smanchy manager. And so I thought I was, you know, on an upward trajectory. And then the manager dropped me. I wasn't doing well financially, couldn't find work, acting or otherwise. I'd gotten to a car accident that was my fault and I was going to have to pay for it, didn't have the money, had a surgery scheduled that was going to have me out of commission for like over a month. So like even more time not working. Like it was a really dark place. And then Mercury retrograde happened and I ran into 11 people from my past within a span of 2.5 weeks. And so I was terrified. And these were all people that I'd had like terrible experiences with that hurt me. I hadn't seen a lot of them in like years, some 5 years, maybe a year, some a few months. Like it was insane. And so I was terrified to leave my apartment at first. And then I realized, oh, the universe is sending me a message, because I realized when running into these people that I would be brought back to exactly where we had left off, but they had moved on and they were all happy to see me. And I'm like, okay, so something's off here. You know what I mean? Like, let me reflect. So I became more just self-aware of my own patterns and trauma and childhood trauma and all of that. And of course, my nervous system was a complete mess because of everything that had been going on. And I literally hit rock bottom. Like that was probably the darkest night of the soul that I have ever experienced in my life. But by the end of that 2.5 week period, I'd experienced a shift in perspective where I realized, you know, I don't have to run away, number one, from people or situations that make me feel uncomfortable. And two, like I saw it as an invitation to do things differently, right? Or to make different choices. And so I became excited. It felt like a game between me and the universe at that point. And so that inspired me to do a photography project where I photographed women and had them fill out a survey, but women who'd experienced something traumatic and then made it to the other side with a shift in perspective. And through that process, I met this woman who studied spiritual psychology at the University of Santa Monica. And she invited me to my first women's ball. I invited myself to my first women's circle. And there at the women's circle, I met a woman who was talking about like grounding, right? And I met a whole lot of people that studied spirituality at the or that studied spiritual psychology at the University of Santa Monica. So they taught me a lot. But this one lady, specifically Lala, she suggested that I try grounding. And I didn't even know what grounding was. Like I said, I'm an Aquarius stellium up in the clouds. Didn't know what grounding was.
Fixed air signs right there.
But I tried. It was really her routine. I tried doing that. That consisted of prayer, meditation, journaling, reading a spiritual book, exercise, affirmations, clearing my space with sage and Palo Santo, like doing all of these things consistently every day, waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to do this. And doing that consistently literally changed my life. I did it every day for a year. And now I still do it, but not as consistently, honestly. But that was an incredible time. Wait, why did I start talking about this?
Well, it's about the dark night of the soul and the spirit. Like if you hadn't gone through all that, you wouldn't have experienced any of this. You wouldn't have had
spiritual awakening.
Yeah, you wouldn't have you wouldn't have learned about grounding.
Exactly.
Even as I'm
so had the manager not dropped me, would I have chosen this path specifically? I don't know, because I still experienced that Mercury retrograde, which led me down a rabbit hole and brought me to this path. So
interesting.
I don't know. But had the manager not dropped me, it might have taken me down a completely different path, and I wouldn't have had a need to ground. You know what I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have been aware of my need to ground, and I probably would have been able to continue running away from my problems and having dysfunctional relationships and all of that. So
yeah. I feel that.
So yeah.
Tell us. That's
When you hear her talk about, I ran into 11 people from my past, I was like, well, what lesson didn't you learn that they're bringing back around? They're spinning the block, coming in. Like, what lessons did did they all have in common as far as when it came to your life? You know
Boundaries.
what I mean?
I didn't have boundaries. I didn't love myself, not in the way that I thought I did. I was repeating dynamics that really, stemmed from my childhood and my relationship with both of my parents, but more so my dad. And I mean, there was a lot. There was a lot. It was like, what do you call like a speed crash course? It was like a crash course in self-awareness, really.
Wow. And then it's just like 11 people coming by and say, oh, hey, Ashli, how's life? And you're like, well, life freaking sucks. It's like one of those moments.
I'm like, why are you looking at me all happy? Like, wasn't there an issue here between you and I?
Yeah, like 5 years ago. Like, what are you doing in my life right now? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Damn. But you know what I find interesting, though, is that after your manager dropped you, you go through this Mercury retrograde period. You re-encountered 11 people from your past that made you reflect upon your life from your past leading all the way up to where you are now. I feel like whether consciously or not, you quantum leaped.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. And through that photography project that you did, that really kickstarted everything, really, because that's how you met Yaya, the woman, like, and that's how you met, like, that got introduced to grounding, the University of Santa Monica. But that was, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably didn't know about this before, but you did a lot of stuff that you didn't do before. And I think that's kind of what quantum leaped you here. Cause like if you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once or like that movie, like whenever you shift timelines, you got to do something that's like not what you normally do or what you normally do in the past in order to shift gears. So if in the past your thing was like not setting boundaries, then you had to set boundaries in your present time, then boom, now you're going to shift to something else. So I feel like for you, like that took you to a whole space now. And like that, like if you were to go back to that person in 2018, mind you, it's 2026 right now. It's been 8 years. I almost couldn't math for a second, but it's been 8 years.
Isn't it interesting though?
Yeah. 8 years has passed, right?
Yeah.
If you were to go back in time, what would you tell Ashli from back then? At that time, when her manager has dropped her, and it's during that Mercury retrograde period, as you mentioned, the dark night of the soul, 8 years ago, what would you tell her?
Oh, gosh. Man. I mean, I would tell her a lot. Let's keep it concise. I would tell her, one, your value is not defined by your work, by your excellence, by your productivity, by what other people think of you. Like, you are intrinsically valuable just because you're you, not because of what you do or what you can do or what you have to offer. I would tell her that it's better for you to walk away from people, places, and situations that are not aligned with you. You don't need to try to force anything to fit or make it work or bend yourself into a pretzel or be smaller or bigger, or you're enough as you are. Like, you don't, if something doesn't fit or isn't right, it's just because it isn't right. It's not because you're not right. And it's not even necessarily because they're not right. It's just because it's not resonant. And so find what resonates, find what's aligned with your highest good. Don't stay where you're miserable. And it's okay to admit that you're miserable, because admitting that you're miserable is the first step to finding happy or fulfillment, or to finding the good place, whatever that means for you.
Oh my God, that resonates so much for me.
Bars.
So
Bars.
much. So much. That whole thing right there too, that validation, or, you know, worrying about what people may think, or like when you make big life choices and things like that. Like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking back, you know, obviously to my spiritual awakening, and I tell myself more than once, I tell myself sometimes while I'm by myself, I'm like, yo, I'm so proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to say that to myself, like in the mirror, like when, you know, when I feel like things are going left, like they're not going right for me or whatever, I kind of just bring it back. Like, we've come a long way. We have evolved, and yeah, we have a lot more evolving to do. Don't get me wrong. I don't have all the answers, but
For as long as we're alive.
but yeah, but I'm also not like harping on that. I'm just going day by day. And I feel like in the past, like even listening to you, I'm sure there was times that you could beat yourself up, or you're feeling like, damn, what am I not doing right? And whatever else. And you are forcing things. There's times that you force things.
Right.
You're trying to make something happen because you feel it's the only way to achieve it, but it's not true. I feel like when we start to force things, whether it's a job, a relationship, a friendship, anything, it's like, nah, this isn't in alignment.
No, and I think a lot of times that's when you really gotta trust. You gotta trust the universe that everything's gonna work out.
Yeah, and even in you with that choice.
Yeah, and that's where part of like Ashley is what you said, right? Like loving yourself, trusting yourself,
having
respect.
self-awareness.
Yeah, all that.
I feel pandemic, and I think we've spoken about that. Like the pandemic was a huge lesson for the world.
Awakening for everybody.
And some people still didn't get it.
That's true.
We went through all that.
Some people are still taking a whole ass nap during the pandemic.
And they still haven't gotten it.
Right.
And it's like, all right, well,
Right.
the universe tried.
Right.
God tried.
God tried their best on this one.
You know?
It's like, hey, wake up.
Yeah, but it's wild. It's just crazy.
Crazy times, you know. And you know, we're still living in crazy times right now. These are still crazy times, you know, and you know, to bring it back to you, Ashley, too, is like for, you know, there are many people in this world who feel like there's no hope, right? Mm-hmm. Or they're looking at the news, they're seeing what's happening, whether it's in the government, the administration, like mental health. You know, it's January just passed, 2026 just started, right? It's already so crazy. You know, we could look at astrology, you know, Pluto and Aquarius, all that, right? You have a business, you have people coming into you, and I'm sure you have people who come looking for answers, right? What is, like, to bring it back to like the work that you do, what kind of intention do you set for your readings, and what do you hope to like bring in every reading that you do? No matter if it's with a friend or just a stranger walking by and seeing the sign to go into your bus. That was a pretty big, long question too. So
I feel like I just want to deliver truth, and I know that none of it comes from me. It's all coming from source, and so it's not my job to, you know, withhold information or try to make some. I mean, obviously, as a practitioner, you have a responsibility to care for people and be supportive, but I'm not gonna like lie or withhold information or try to. It's like if something's being delivered, it's in a certain way. It's being delivered in that way because that's the way the message needs to be delivered. Because for whatever reason, that's how this person is best to receive it. And it's my job to be of service. It's not my job to judge the person or the message or the information, right? I do feel like it's important to, like I said, have care, give care. And so when you do have not just self-awareness, but just awareness in general, and as an intuitive person, you know that, or I feel like I know that I'm responsible in my work. And so the only thing that I want is for people to know that they are cared for and that this is a safe container, and whatever message that comes through is being delivered, because that's what you're meant to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you as a person why you're meant to receive this, but you're here for a reason. And the message is coming through for a reason. And so all we can do is just be open. And we may not even understand everything as it's happening,
Mm-hmm.
but as you go out into the world, you'll gain clarity.
Mm-hmm.
We all do.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to stay open when you
Right.
get a
I'm sure
reading.
you get this
Same
thing when you do readings too, right? Like,
Same thing. But for our people that are listening though, like if you want an amazing tarot reading, you need to go to Ashli. And I say this because Ashli, I don't know if you remember the first reading you ever gave me. I asked you about my love life and you tapped into his whole energy down to his humor, everything. And I was just blown away. When you were giving me that reading, I was like, this is wild. This is crazy. Like, so yeah, I do recommend. I just wanted to say that I recommend Ashli.
And I also double down on that too. I also because last year I went to LA and I specifically made a pit stop to meet up with Ashli because I want to see your bus in real life. And first of all, if you are on the West Coast, if you are in LA, like definitely go check out Ashli's how should I call it? Like the magic
Star Magic
bus.
Star Magic School Bus.
The Star Magic School Bus. Apologies for that. Yes. Please go check out the Star Magic School Bus. The interior is awesome. It's a welcoming environment too. Ashli's great. And I'll say worth every penny, worth every dollar. So yes.
Thank you.
We also know that we have before he came onto the podcast, Sinner and I were talking about something that you can offer to our listeners as well.
Yeah.
And this is February. February is
the month of love.
Month of there's a lot of stuff happening in February, right? So
I always look at it as the month of love.
It's the month of love. Black History Month, Lunar New Year, President's Day, all kinds of things, But this episode will be airing on the week of Valentine's Day. So, would you be willing to give the world, our listeners, a little reading, a love reading?
Yeah, of course. And I just so happen to have my love deck with me.
Let's go.
So some of the images, I mean, these are beautiful cards, but just fair warning, some of these images do contain nudity in the illustrations.
Okay.
So
that's all good. We're born naked. That's all good.
Okay. Just so you know, I'm not trying to get you any fines or strikes or anything. So
appreciate that.
Okay, so how should we do this? Should I ask what guidance does Spirit have for the collective regarding love? Should I pull a card for singles, couples, and situationships? What should we do?
I feel let's do collective.
Let's do collective.
Okay. Let's do collective and see what. Well, you do your thing because I know how you do your
That's
thing.
true.
And I love when you start going with them cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So I say a quick prayer. Father, Mother, God, Spirit, Universe, my angels and guides, the highest spiritual beings of my ancestors, my higher self, please who love me unconditionally. I call upon you for unconditional love, grace, guidance, protection, and clarity. Right now. Thank you for blessing me with your own. Thank you for allowing me to connect with the collective, the energy of the collective, so that we receive clear, concise, accurate, 100% truth through their well-being, abundance for many of the messages you do right at this time. We open up to the healing and guidance the collective needs most right now, and unconditional love through divine grace of our own free will. So be it. Spirit, please tell us, what guidance do you have for the collective regarding love? What guidance do you have for the collective regarding love? What guidance do you have for the collective regarding love? Okay, and so.
I'm scared already.
Wow, what guidance do you have for the collective regarding love? So at first I started hearing All You Need Is Love. I think it's the Beatles. All you need is love. Yeah. And then I started hearing Rock the Boat. And I'm like, rock the boat?
Aaliyah?
Aaliyah.
Yeah.
I'm like, rock the boat.
And I'm like, what does that have to? Okay. But I feel like it's all making sense, right? Because as I was shuffling before any cards came out, I felt the depth of that question. What guidance does Spirit have for us regarding love? And it doesn't feel related to romance at all. It feels, because love is so much more than just romance. We have all different kinds of love relationships and loving relationships. And for me, intuitively, I'm feeling that the collective is in need of love. It's like love is the antidote, is the answer, is the medicine, it's like there's a need for collective healing, and that healing comes by way of love. And I feel like that's what the cards are saying. So the overall energy is the Eight of Pentacles.
Okay.
And then we have the Lovers in reverse. The first card that flew up is the Lovers, and it's in reverse. Rock the boat, right? I was talking earlier about misalignment and finding alignment. Then following the Lovers in reverse is the Four of Swords. This has to do with healing, okay? And then we have the Page of Pentacles. So the pentacles rule things that are tangible and of the earth: money, career, finances, resources, energy. At the bottom of the deck, overall energy, like I said, is the Eight of Pentacles. This has to do with applying effort, work. It's like, so the collective needs healing, and this is also this, which requires collective effort. This isn't easy. It's not going to be easy. Now, we can take this is a collective message, but obviously apply it to yourselves in your personal lives as it resonates, right? But work, effort. I'm hearing priority. It feels like love needs to be, the collective needs to prioritize love at this time. Now, the Lovers is in reverse. Upright, the Lovers has to do with love. It's a soulmate energy, but it also speaks to alignment. So being aligned with your higher self, with source. As you're aligned with your higher self and with source, you attract other people, places, relationships, opportunities that too are aligned with you. But there's a misalignment happening collectively right now. And I feel like, I mean, you mentioned Pluto and Aquarius earlier, and Pluto and Aquarius brings power to the people. It brings empowerment. It brings transformation collectively, absolutely. But Pluto, before it brings the power, before it builds up, there's a breakdown. And I feel like this breakdown is shining light on what's misaligned with us collectively, with the Lovers in reverse. But following the Lovers is the Four of Swords. The Swords has to do with activity of the mind, thought, communication, clarity, truth, vision, authenticity. But the Four of Swords is healing. So this misalignment is requiring healing. I want to say is being healed, because we're in the midst of that, but it's just the beginning. I feel like there's a lot more to come. But so this misalignment requires healing. Now this healing is specifically mental. It's of the mind. So how do we find that? Through rest, through meditation, through prayer, through faith, through journaling, therapy, talk therapy, whatever. However you find it, you find it. But this, there's being attention brought to this misalignment that requires healing. And even though this requires work and effort, we have the Page of Pentacles, which is just a seed. So right now, in times of darkness, whether it's in your darkness, uncertainty, the breakdown, the boat is rocky, right? With rock the boat. It may feel as though the situation is so grand, so big. It's like we can oftentimes feel hopeless or helpless because we don't know what to do. I'm hearing faith of a mustard seed. All you need is a seed to plant that seed and put in the effort to water it, to nurture it, to grow. So whether this has to do with your personal relationships or just on a collective level as it pertains to love and how love is or isn't showing up in the world, this is all happening for a reason. There is a misalignment. It needs healing, and that healing comes from just a small investment, a small seed, planting the seed of the seed of faith, but of effort, of resources, of energy, of money, of time, of just like energy, focusing, channeling that energy into love and what's aligned and what's resonant, whether again it has to do with your interpersonal relationships or otherwise. But it's not just planting the seed or making a small effort, it's then having that consistency with the Eight of Pentacles, which does require effort. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I think like it's like kind of what I mentioned earlier, is like during a time right now when there's so much political unrest, civil unrest, when here in the United States there's a lot of division, I do think a lot of things are feeling really misaligned, you know, and as you mentioned, Pluto and Aquarius to shift the power to the people. Those misalignments, it is a crack in the system and the institution. And through that, we're going to gain healing. And in order to do that, we need to start planting these seeds of love. So I do think it's a very timely message. And even for myself, I think like, what could I do as an individual person during this time? And I think what you mentioned about, you know, whether it's in your personal life, planting those seeds, like putting in that effort, I think that in itself does go a long way in terms of collective healing and love. Yeah.
Everything goes back to love.
Exactly.
Everything goes back to love.
Right.
You know, even what was it that we just watched? The Grammys? When Bad Bunny said like that there's nothing stronger than hate than love.
Right.
Like love is stronger than hate. And that was big. Like for him just to say it in that context, what we all knew what he was talking about.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So like it's kind of like crazy, right? Not crazy, but like Spirit is always gonna tell us what we need to hear, not what we want to hear.
Of course.
Which is why that's why I love that, Ashley, because you started that reading and you're like, doesn't mean romance, but collectively we needed to hear this message that you gave.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hey.
Ooh, I love it. I'm gonna need a personal, by the way. We're gonna have to work that out.
You know, that'll be after the podcast, unless you want to do it here.
No, another day. What?
I said maybe you should do your personal reading for the podcast. I could come back and we could.
You know, we created this podcast just to air out all of Sin's dirty laundry here.
Absolutely
on the show.
not. Absolutely not.
That's what we're here to do, you know.
Yeah, I didn't mean today. I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely. No, that was awesome. That was the first time we had somebody like a guest come on and do a reading on our show. So you were the first person that did it for us. So
Yeah.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seriously.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I love it. I
goodness.
love everything that you shared, all, you know, the little gems that you dropped.
Right.
And which is the whole point too, like when we do have guests, is for people to share like their journey. So thank you for sharing your journey.
Thank you.
Because you just never know who's gonna listen and needs to hear the things that you've said, the things that you've learned, the things that you've experienced, and even just that collective reading
Yeah.
is you know what I mean? Like we just never know.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
why we always appreciate, you know, having guests like you.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your platform with me. This
Of
has been
course.
such a pleasure, and I love talking about myself. So
Aquarians.
Such an Aquarius thing to say.
So I detach from the rest of the world because I could focus on me. Independence.
It's so funny because every time I think of Aquarius, like my mom is an Aquarius.
That's right.
And
yeah. Her birthday just passed.
she's always, you know, if there's one thing she's always pushed on me and my brother and stuff is like, you know, if you want to do things the right way, you have to do it like me. Such an Aquarius thing to say.
I get
that's
that.
so funny. That's hilarious.
I'm an Aquarius rising, so I think kind of similar to that too. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much again, Ashley.
Ashley, you're amazing.
Of course.
Please
thank you.
let our listeners know where they can find you.
So I'm on Instagram, Star Magic Tarot, and on TikTok, I am Star Magic. And I think that's it. Oh, just to share, I am hosting a retreat this summer in August in Portugal. I'm hosting a retreat called Aligned, a Soul Retreat in Portugal this summer. So if you're interested in that, you can visit my website, starmagictarot.com.
That sounds amazing.
In Portugal, okay.
You know
all right.
It's a women's retreat. Sorry, Rob. I would invite you, but
a women's retreat.
It's for the ladies, yeah.
For all the ladies here, go to Portugal. Check it out.
Yeah, but thank you again, Ashli. This was amazing. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate you. But thank you guys for tuning in as per usual. My name is Sin.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Gemini Soulcast.
Hey.